Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and we have a champagne cork today. So this is my anniversary project. This is something that I've been trying to do every year since I've been married, is do an anniversary commemorance kind of epoxy project. So this cork came from a bottle of champagne when me and my wife got married 2 years ago. And you guys are watching this the day before our anniversary. And we kept this bottle of champagne for a year, and we were going to drink it on our first year anniversary, which we did. So this is what's left over from the bottle. So what we're going to do is go ahead, put some epoxy on this. Actually, we're going to hot glue it first, make sure everything stays where it needs to. Put it in a small little cup of resin, and then we're going to turn it down just to make like a memento out of it. So we'll have that forever to commemorate our anniversary. So we'll have something to remember it by. So got this little cube of clear resin, and then we're just going to go ahead, attach everything with hot glue. We're going to try to form the cork a little bit of center, just like that. And now we're going to pour in about 8 ounces of East Coast resin. Put this in the pressure pot for 4.5 hours, and we are going to see what it looks like. Boom! 4.5 hours later. Came out absolutely beautiful, very clear. Very good casting on this one. You can see the cork in there. The great thing about, well, kind of not the great thing, but like the resin itself kind of like moves the actual size of the actual cork. So it kind of refracts and it looks bigger than it actually is. But it's actually going to turn out really well. We're going to have some issues with this project, but it's going to look absolutely amazing when we're done. So here we go. Going to get this onto the lathe and get it spun down. So got the chuck in there. We're just going to adhese it the best we can. This is actually the first time I'm watching this video after the edit. So you can see my shoulder there. Great camera work, by the way. So get that real nice and tight as we can with the key, because what we don't want to do is have it fly out of the lathe. And there's going to be a moment in the video where it almost kind of does. So you know how much I love things flying off the lathe at hundreds and thousands of RPM. So put the tailstock in there, gonna get the support, and then we're gonna go ahead and start turning it down. So the great thing is that it doesn't come out of the actual cup itself. I need to get some mold release so I can figure that out. I've learned long enough by doing these projects that if you start a little too close to the actual project itself, that plastic just flies off and like slaps your fingers. So got to be really careful when you're doing this. And all I'm trying to do now is just make a tenon at the end of it near the tailstock, so we can go ahead and reverse it onto the lathe, so I can make a tenon for the bottom portion of it. But like I said, it's been a little while since I've done something like this. We're going to have some issues, unfortunately, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. Getting pretty good shavings off. Up until this point, everything's going relatively smooth, and I'm thinking, okay, this is the perfect size. However, as you'll see here, it's not large enough. So when you move something on the chuck like that, there's my shoulder again, you reset it and reset it of center. So now we have to start over, and everything is off and wonky now. It's not as flush as prior to taking it out, and this creates a bit of a problem for me, and now I have to recenter it. So how to come back, bam, barely fit in there, but it's large enough to where we can go ahead and fix the bottom of it near the tailstock and get another mortise built, so we can actually get everything even and straight, so we can actually start the process. It's actually a really easy project when you do these. However, like I said, once something is thrown off on the center, it makes it a lot more difficult to come back and actually do the turning down. And I ended up catching it, as you see there. I'm like, son of a bitch. I had to come back, recenter it, flip it over on the chuck again because it came out. So now I have to rework the problem. And this was kind of a pain. And it wasn't so much a pain that I didn't enjoy doing it. It's just I did this at like 3 o'clock in the morning on top of some other projects. So maybe that's what I was thinking, that this was just going to be a lot easier than it was. Had some of the ribbons just start to bunch up once I got it reversed. So that was a bit of an issue as well. And this is also part of our marathon project. If you've seen what I've done for the past several months, you've noticed I've done a little bit smaller projects. I'm actually gone away on a work thing right now. So I actually did this up in March. Our anniversary is obviously in October. You guys are watching this in October. So I just had to, get this done before I left, because out of all the special projects that I usually do in the year, the anniversary project is one of my favorite ones to do. So got everything spun down real good. Now we're just making that nice dome shape, obviously, from, you know, what you've seen so far. And, you know, this part is going relatively well. We're trying to get that cool egg dome shape like we typically do. If you've seen me do Lego figs in the past, pretty much the same concept here. And we're just trying to, you know, take off as much material as possible before we actually start hitting the actual metal wire that's surrounding the cork. And you can see there, we're getting really good layers off, getting really good shavings. Everything's going really nice and smooth, but don't worry, we're going to have more problems here in a little bit. So you got to get all that shavings off of it, and now we're going to start forming the actual bottom of the actual project itself. And now I switched to the smaller carbide tool, and I'm just trying to take layer by layer off, trying to get everything nice and even. Take your time. However, for some reason, it doesn't matter how well I take my time. All it takes is one small little incident, one small little catch to absolutely ruin a project. So at this point, I'm trying to make, you know, I'm trying to part the actual piece that I want itself and the actual epoxy project from the chuck. And that's what I'm essentially doing here. And I think I'm doing really well, but here in just a second, you're going to see me really screw this up. So here we go. I'm getting a little bit of catching, and then bam, there it is. Chipped out the bottom of it. And I'm like, son of a bitch, this is not what I intended. So now I have to go back, and you can see we took a really good chunk out of it. So now I have to come back and fix that problem. So I took the small carbide tool that I have, and now instead of it kind of being like a domed egg, it's we all know what it looks like. It looks like a messed up, you know, Fabergé egg kind of situation here, and having to just really take small little strokes, work the problem the best way. I mean, I say that every time we have any kind of catastrophic failure on the channel, you just have to work the problem, and this was no different. But this was kind of a memento. It is a memento to me, so I was just really nervous that I wasn't going to be able to fix it. But we get it figured out, and I ended up just, you know, cutting my losses after a while. I'm like, okay, it's in resin, it's, you know, encased in it. Even though it's kind of oblong and oddly shaped, it's where I want it to be. So once I did the chip out and fixed the problem, I was pretty happy with it. Now we can start the sanding portion of it. And this is shavings from several projects. Like I said, this is also part of the marathon. Hopefully I'm with my wife on our anniversary trip, but my work situation is probably not going to allow me to do that. So this is all we can do for our anniversary this year. Just watch this video. So hopefully we'll get to spend next anniversary together. Who knows? Maybe we're spending this anniversary together. I just don't know. Like I said, I did this in March. Only don't know what the future holds, and you know, work is work. So getting everything sanded nice, and you really want to do a lot of sanding on these clearer projects like this. So we went from 320 all the way up to 1500. Came back, hit it with a micro mesh. You can see there, really getting that clear crystal color. East Coast resin, like I said, really good material to work with. Now we're just hitting it with that wood wax. Gonna get everything nice and polished, and then we're gonna come back and take it off the lathe. So here we are, just polishing it up real nice and neat. You can see the actual cork encased in the resin. Looks absolutely beautiful. Love how this turned out. Even though we had some problems with it, even though it didn't go exactly the way we wanted it to, it still looks really cool. It looks exactly how we wanted it to come out. And we'll have this memento. Like I said, every anniversary we're doing some kind of commemorative thing. So looks really cool in that resin. Love how this turned out. And we'll have that forever. Look how cool that looks. So now the hard part, going back and taking off the actual piece off the lathe, and we'll get to that part here in just a second as soon as we're done twisting it. Looks really cool though. Love how that turned out. So now we're going to do the same thing, and I debated on how I was going to do this, if I was just going to come back and do the same thing, or if I was going to take the handsaw to it. But I just ended up taking the small square carbide tool and just being a lot more careful. And then I'm going to come back and take the handsaw here in just a second and cut this off, and then the project will be done. So hope you guys liked it. Hopefully I'm enjoying my anniversary. Like I said, I don't know, work situations got stuff going on, but like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next project. Alright, so project is done, and we barely got this one done. Also, you can see No shave. Look at that. I need to grow my beard. I know. I'm not a good looking dude without it. I'm not a good looking dude with it. But this doesn't help. Anyway, so here we are, our little guy, champagne cork in resin. Got it done. I thought I was going to have to punch the shit out of the lathe, which would have been dumb, but it turned out a lot better than I thought. Actually, I hadn't done one of these egg things in a long time. Sorry, I keep wiping it down because the shop is covered in resin shavings, and I'm trying to just polish it up so you guys can see it all. But really cool. Again, this is, I'm sure I went over this in the commentary. Every October, I do my anniversary gift. This will be our 2nd year anniversary. Today is March 21st of 2022. You guys are watching this October 9th of 2022. Had to do this early because of a work situation. This goes into the marathon, but we would have posted this hopefully anyway. But there it is, a little cork in resin. Had some issues, but we worked through that and got all that done. So hope you guys like the project. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope I'm with my wife doing anniversary stuff, but we'll see if work permits me to do that. So don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace.